Looking for effective ways to grow and nurture your community while also increasing your income as a blogger? Then this video is for you, as I'll be sharing how to make money from a free webinar as a blogger. To kick this video off, let me share a little story. I still remember the webinar that I attended that made me decide that webinars were something I also needed to be doing. It was about growing your Instagram, and the information was super clear and super actionable. By the end of the presentation, I literally couldn't help but hand over my credit card details and buy the woman's $300 Instagram course. I was that impressed by her teaching style and her content. Now, I know some people get a little weird about webinars and how a product is pitched at the end, but this is how I think about it. A webinar allows you to help and attract your ideal audience, as in the people who would be interested in your paid product. Also, a webinar allows you to grow a targeted email list, as a webinar is usually also an email opt-in. Additionally, a webinar allows your audience to get to know you and gives them a taste of your teaching style. And in my opinion, webinars are fun. The key is to actually have a webinar where people get something out of it, even if they don't purchase. In this scenario, people usually don't mind the pitch because you've helped them even before they've given you money. It's when the webinar is 30 minutes of bragging, 10 minutes of content, and 30 minutes of pitching that people feel tricked. We'll dive more into a successful webinar structure in a bit, but first, I want to direct your attention to the video description box, where I've shared a link to my free travel blogger resource library. Inside, you'll snag access to 35+ resources, from cheat sheets to workbooks to workshops to video tutorials that can help you truly turn your blog into a profitable business. I'm all about implementation, and I really want to make sure that you don't just watch the video and forget about it, but that you actually use what I share to make your blogging life easier. Feel free to even pause this video to go grab those resources. You back? Then let's dive in. Now, I want to start off by saying it took me about a year to work up the nerve to actually host a webinar. I'd run free challenges before, but when it came to webinars, I was afraid of everything. If people wouldn't like it, if people would be mad about the pitch at the end, if the tech would fail. That last one was probably my biggest fear, but then I hosted my first webinar. I practiced a ton, I tested the software, I got everything set up in the software early, so I had time to ask Webinar Jam, my webinar software provider, any questions that came up. And quick aside, I am an affiliate of Webinar Jam, and I shared a link in the description box that will get you a 2-week free trial of their software. Anyway, I just really prepared so that I would feel confident. I also gave myself time to promote the heck out of the webinar so that I could actually get some butts in seats and make all of that hard work worth it. When it was time to start the webinar, I felt energized. The more I spoke and the more people interacted in the chat, the more confident I felt, even through the pitch. And imagine how good it felt when I actually had people purchasing through the webinar. Interestingly, I don't think I've ever hosted a webinar where there were no purchases. This is a wildly powerful strategy when done right. That being said, there are some definite do's and some definite don'ts that I've learned along the way, because I've also made a number of mistakes that I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay, so let's start with the do's. Here's what you should do to host an incredible webinar. Tip number 1, choose a topic that would attract people who would benefit from your product. If you're selling a course on travel hacking, you don't want to teach a webinar on Pinterest marketing. If a course is what you plan to pitch, you might even consider using a lesson or module as your webinar. You want to just make sure it's all very targeted. Okay, moving on to tip number 2, make sure that attendees benefit from the webinar whether they purchase or not. While you'll want to save your secret sauce or your top hack for the buyers, those who attend should leave feeling helped in some way. So if you promise to teach 3 incredible travel photography tips, make sure that attendees truly get 3 incredible travel photography tips. It may seem counterintuitive to give away the goods for free, but it's more like giving away a sample. If it's really good, people will want more. However, if it's a waste of time, people will assume your paid offer is too. An example of this tip would be my webinar on how to become a travel blogger and make money, which shows creators how to increase their blogging income step by step. I'll link it in the video description if you'd like to check that out. Moving on to tip number 3, consider collaboration. Now, I teach a ton of webinars by myself, but I also love collaborating with affiliate partners to co-host webinars. This could be an affiliate that offers a product or service, brands, or even other creators, as long as what is being offered is beneficial to your audience. For instance, I co-hosted a webinar with content creator Anastasia Blogger, who sells one of my favorite Pinterest courses. I also co-hosted a webinar with ConvertKit, an email marketing platform about how to grow your email list. And by the way, you can click my affiliate link in the video description box for a free 1-month trial of ConvertKit. But anyway, while these partners took care of the product, as well as any special bonuses to entice sales, I promoted the webinar to my audience and we used my affiliate link for the checkout process. It's a win for me with affiliate income and being able to empower my audience, a win for my partners as they make sales, and a win for my audience as they learn new strategies, while also getting access to quality products and special bonuses. Seriously, collaboration is a great way to grow your blog. Okay, now let's chat about tip number 4, use webinar software. This isn't required, but in my experience, it saves a lot of time and hassle. And if you're wondering how to set up a webinar, this will make it a lot easier and more intuitive. I've personally tried to sort of glue together different platforms to create a free webinar, but it never felt as professional as I wanted it to. Then I started using Webinar Jam, a paid webinar software platform, and the experience was a lot easier. You don't need any other tool aside from Webinar Jam to host a professional looking webinar with landing pages, webinar rooms, slides, videos, polls, a chat box, sales buttons, countdown timers, live sales counts, automated emails and replay sends, analytics, and injections in your presentation, which is helpful, for instance, if you want to offer a bonus only to those who stay until the end of the live webinar. Basically, they have everything you need, and they even have a testing environment so you can practice your webinar beforehand. Again, with my affiliate link in the description box, you can try out Webinar Jam for free for 14 days. This brings us to tip number 5. Want to host the perfect webinar? Use a step-by-step format. I love hearing inspiring TED-style talks. However, most people attending a webinar are really looking for actionable advice. In my opinion, the best way to help people take action is to share a step-by-step formula that will help them reach a certain goal or even a milestone on the way toward a goal. So if your webinar is teaching people how to find mistake airline fares, you don't want to just spend 45 minutes talking about how you use a certain app to find fares and how you've flown New York to Tokyo for $50. No, you want to share your story to show why you're the person to teach the webinar for about 10 minutes. And then you want to say something like, do you want to be able to do this too? Then let's dive in. Step number 1. And then really make it clear so that people can replicate what you've been able to accomplish. Moving on to tip number 6, host your webinar live, at least in the beginning. Nowadays, people actually host live webinars so infrequently that just the act of you being live to teach is going to be special and valuable. No joke, I've had attendees test me. They'll say something like, if this is really live, then say a certain word. Along with being able to connect with your audience, doing the webinar live also allows you to better understand how you're helping your community and what they still need from you. Honestly, you can get a lot of information from these live events by seeing what questions people ask. You can choose whether to address these questions by revamping the webinar content for future sessions, or maybe they are best addressed within your paid product to make it as robust as possible. Personally, I love keeping a spreadsheet with all of the different questions, DMs, and emails, just things people are asking me. This way, I can better understand the needs of my community. This helps me create truly valuable blog posts, social shares, opt-in freebies, and of course, products. Ready for tip number 7? Understand how to present your webinar and practice your transitions. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned a simple webinar formula. To help you better understand how to present a webinar, I'm going to just expand on that here. Of course, you can feel free to get creative and stray, but this is just what I found really works well. Start with an introduction. Before I share my slides, I like to show my face, say hello, and ask everyone to share where they're from. Again, this just helps me show that the webinar is live. Also, it gives people time to join without missing out on the actual webinar content. From there, I will do the following. One slide sharing what attendees will learn during the webinar, essentially getting them excited for what is to come. A few slides helping them realize if they're in the right place. For instance, you might say, you're in the right place if you crave clear, actionable strategies for growing an engaged community. From there, I'll do about 10 minutes of sharing my before and after story. Basically, you want your attendees to see themselves as your before so that they realize it's possible to reach that after story, since you're proof of that. After that, I like to have a few slides that let them imagine this after story as their reality. For instance, you might say something like, now I want you to take a moment and just imagine a life where you no longer feel like your amazing content isn't even being read by anyone. From there, you want to transition into at least 30 minutes of pure teaching content. You might say something like, if this all sounds good, then let's dive into the strategy. Now, after the teaching content is over is when it gets a bit tricky for most people, as this is when you'll dive into the pitch. You might feel super confident and excited about teaching, but asking people to buy your product makes you nervous. So you start tripping over your words or talking really fast through the pitch. But here is what you need to remember. By placing high quality products in front of your audience, products that truly help them, you're helping them. You are helping them to make their lives better. So instead of thinking, ugh, I don't want to ask people for money, think, I know my paid course or my paid product will really help them reach their goals, and I can't wait to show them how. Now, pro tip with the pitch, really make the benefits of the product clear, not just the features. A feature is what is physically included. The benefit, on the other hand, is how the product and these features can change their lives. So you might say something like, the course comes with one live coaching call each month, so you never have to waste time searching Google for answers to your questions. In this case, the monthly coaching call is the feature, while not having to waste time is a benefit. After the pitch, I'll then provide a bonus to everyone who stayed until the end. And by the way, this is where Webinar Jam comes in super handy, as I just have to click a button to share it. And finally, I'll end the webinar with a 15-minute Q&A. Okay, let's chat about tip number 8, offer special webinar bonuses. Again, I like to offer a bonus to everyone who stays until the end of the webinar, as in until after I pitch the product and we get to the final Q&A portion. I also like to offer a special bonus to people who purchase during the webinar. Or if your webinar is part of a longer launch, you might offer a bonus to those who purchase during the webinar or during the replay. This just entices people to take action and rewards them for taking part in your webinar. This brings us to tip number 9, have questions prepared for the Q&A. Maybe you're worried that people won't ask questions at the end. You can relieve that anxiety by having a few ready to go to fill that void. You might say something like, feel free to start typing your questions into the chat box. While you're typing, I just wanted to answer a few common questions I've gotten from the community. And now we are up to tip number 10, give yourself enough time to promote your webinar. And if you're wondering how to promote a webinar, here are some suggestions. To your email list, in a smart bar at the top of your website, in relevant blog posts, through social media advertising, in your email signature, on social media, in your shares, but also in your social media bios, in Facebook groups where appropriate. Maybe you run some Facebook ads or some promoted pins. You might also ask friends to share and then offer to share something of theirs in return. I'm also a fan of a plugin called Convert Plus for adding timed pop-ups, slide-ins, and smart bars that you can customize to show people based on what they have read. My affiliate link for this powerful plugin is in the description box. Okay, so on that note, let's chat about a few webinar mistakes. Some of these I've made myself, and others are ones that I've seen others make. So mistake number 1, letting doubt hinder success. Now, my first webinar did well. I did make sales, but it definitely didn't have as many attendees as it could have had. After some deep self-reflection, I realized that it was negative self-talk that was largely to blame. Before this first webinar, there was a real fear that things would not go as planned. I almost didn't want a lot of people there because I was so nervous. But then as I got going with the webinar, I wish there were more people. Be honest with yourself about this negative self-talk. Try to pinpoint what situations trigger it. For instance, when you're thinking about taking on a big challenge or when something goes wrong. From there, you want to consider what a more realistic or optimistic way to look at the situation is. How can you look at the situation differently? For example, in regards to webinars, your negative self-talk might say, well, if I don't try, I won't fail. However, a more realistic way to think about it could be, if I don't try, I've already failed, and I'll never see how this strategy can help me grow. Okay, now let's chat about mistake number 2, being afraid to give too much away so you hold too much back. And I totally get this. As I said before, this may seem weird to give information away for free when you're likely pitching a product related to it. But again, you're not giving away your top secret strategy in the webinar. You still want people to feel like, wow, this guy or girl was so helpful in the free webinar. I can't wait to see what they share in the paid version of their product. And now we are on to mistake number 3, not sending reminder emails. Personally, I send 5 emails to my webinar attendees. These are all automated in Webinar Jam, and they include the welcome email they get immediately, a reminder 24 hours before, and in this one, I like to really drive home what they'll get out of attending live. I know people sign up for webinars and then they're like, oh, I'm so busy. So this email is really about saying, hey, I know you're busy, but here is why it is going to be so worth attending live. Remind them about the takeaways, about the live bonus. Remind them that by investing an hour of their time into learning, they will save time and grow in the long run. I also send a reminder 1 hour before the webinar and also a reminder 15 minutes before. Then after the webinar ends, I send a replay, and this email also includes a link to my product and a recap of any bonuses. All right, I'm gonna stop here. Honestly, I'm pretty obsessed with webinars and I probably could talk about them all day, but I feel like that was quite a bit. If you still have questions about webinars, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And actually, I would also love to know what your webinar topic idea is. I always love seeing how creative this community is and how each person individually is working to share their knowledge with others. Also, the best way to actually catch one of my webinars, I do host them a lot and I promote webinars by others, is to get on my email list. And the best way to get on my email list is to grab access to my free travel blogger resource library. And of course, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss future videos sharing tips and strategies for exploring the world, experiencing life, and building a business beyond the guidebook. Happy blogging!